Guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got the brothers on from Unfiltered Longhorn Talk, Vashawn and Chris. We are in the middle of fall camp for the Texas Longhorns. A lot of optimism. Very, very excited to talk ball today. So if you guys hit that like button, subscribe. It's free to show love, the whole bit. Vashawn, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, brother. Man, the smell of football is in the air, bro. 23 days, man. We went through the dry month, where it got pretty much it got dry. So we here. We only think 3 weeks away from playing Ohio State. And like we been building up to this moment the last 5 years. Uh we have a team that's worthy, a team that's most of the writers in the country have picked to win it. I mean, the AP picked as number one. We got a target on our back, and it's the University of Texas. So it shouldn't be. I mean, everybody wants to beat the University of Texas. We've been having a target forever, so this is nothing new. I just think too some fans are not used to this. So those new Longhorn fans enjoy the ride. I mean, this is what we went through in the early 2000s when we had expectations. We had it every year to win it. This is what it feels like. So I just tell you this: sit back and enjoy it, man. Sark has built a great team, and we compete for championships. This is what we've been wanting.
Chris, what say you, brother? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling great. It's so weird. Like around this time every year, no matter what I'm doing in life, no matter how good Texas is playing, obviously it's my favorite time of the year because football's about to start. But I find myself trying to work out and do things like, and I'm sure a lot of men do this. You almost feel like you're in two days when you're out running. I'm not running sprints anymore, but when you're going for your little walks, doing everything you're doing, that's pretty much what I've been doing and listening to everything, Texas football that I can. And I'll tell you what, man, like seeing where we were under the Herman years, the last couple of years, and then, even Sark's first year and looking where we are now. I mean, this is just how we envision it being in the SEC. I mean, CDC brought in Sark, he brought in the right guy. I mean, we've been saying this, and this is that time, man. I'm just overwhelmed that it's Ohio State we're opening up against too, and it's not like Colorado State or anybody like that. So just really looking forward to it.
Amen, amen. Yeah, I think and Chris, if you want to mute just real quick, because I do get I'm picking up some background. But no, while we're doing that, what's up, JB, Greg, Riley, the whole bit? What's going on? Fashawn, I'm gonna start with you. Just in terms of what you're seeing from this football team, and the conversation today, and I'm gonna address it real quick about Arch coming back for. If you guys, every Longhorn fan that's been locked in and pays any remote attention has known that Archer's going to play at least 2 years as a starter at Texas. So
Mhm.
I'm glad they've put that out publicly again. I mean, people just don't listen.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
been saying it, but at least now it's like, okay, we're this is going to be the way it is for the next couple of years. Where's your head at with everything you're seeing in camp? I mean, there's a lot of storylines going on. I don't know if you want to go, the defense performing better than the offense. If you want to go Arch, where do you want to begin, Rashawn?
I'll start off with Grayson Littleton as star. Now we understand it's fall camp. Um, Technically, they're not prepping for Ohio State yet. I think that's starting next week, right, Steve? I could be wrong. I think they go 2 weeks of fall camp, and then the last 2 weeks team prep for the Pacific team they're going to be playing. But Steve, I find it interesting that Grayson Littleton, because we in a bunch of chats, and everybody's like, yeah, I think this is going to either default back to Gilbo, or we know Taft has been playing there as well. Everybody wants. It seems like from what I've heard, everybody wants Jelani McDonald to play there. But from what I've been reading and what I've been hearing is Grayson Littleton has been coming out there at first team star pretty much for 6 practices in a row. So I'm like, if you putting him in 6 practices in a row, it tells me it tells me a couple things. Number one, he hasn't done anything to lose the job yet. Number two, the staff really likes him. And we may see, I mean, we might start coming to the conclusion he might be the starter there because I gave myself a 2 week grace period. I says, if he lines up at star in the 3rd week of prep going for Ohio State, they're going to run with him because no way, Steve, no way, Simp, they're going to pull the rug out from under him. You start him at star, all fall camp, and then say, okay, well, now we're going to run with somebody else. It's just that because what you're doing right now is you're building his chemistry with the other DBs. You want to make sure because we run that cover 3 match zone. You got to communicate. You got to be communicating. So it's telling me we may be seeing Grayson Littleton now. Does that discount Jelani McDonald? No, I read something today. McDonald had taken a few snaps, and then of course we know Taff is. We know Taff is. Taff came out and said he is. And to me, Taff he's doing that so they can get Jelani McDonald, Derek Williams, Gilbo, and Manny Muhammad, all 5 of them on the field together. Realistically, it's just my thoughts and maybe some things I might have heard. The staff really want Jelani McDonald there, but you know, he's not there. But if you do go with Grayson Littleton, this is the question we all got to ask ourselves. Who you taking off the field at safety? You're going to have Taff. You got Jelani McDonald. See, now you got to take Derek Williams off the field. Or you take Jelani McDonald off and go with Derek Williams and Taff. See what I'm saying? Now y'all see where I'm going with this. If Littleton stays at star, that means somebody else coming off the field. And I don't think the staff want to do that. But it's just going to be interesting to see, Steve. I think this week we might not know more, but I think really when we start game prepping those last 2 weeks for sure, we're going to see who the staff is going to go with because they're not going to play around and just get a guy some reps and then say, okay, now we're going to go with this guy and he hadn't really played that much there. So, and I just don't think because you need snaps, you need reps, you need to be able to communicate. These are things, especially you can't play around with Ohio State. They're going to line Jeremiah Smith up in the slot. That star position has to be able to guard. Because another friend of mine was talking. He was like, "Well, yeah, don't we want a strong safety hybrid outside linebacker there?" I said, "No, not in PK system. The star position has to be able to cover. He's covering the wide side of the field, and if you put a guy that can like an outside linebacker there in that spot." And they put a shifty receiver over there, they're going to tear him up. So to me, Steve Simp, that's been one of the biggest things. I mean, there's many other things, but to me, that's at the top of my mind. And guys, I'm not the one to say we should play Grayson because I just don't know. I'm gonna tell you like this, man. If that guy is a dog, let him play. I trust this staff. I really do, Steve. And Grayson Littleton is a true freshman, Steve. We have 5 stars all over our secondary. We got Phillips. Wardell Mack was a high ranked guy. And guess what? Littleton is starting over Wardell Mack right now. And we're only talking the first week and a half. But it tells me Littleton can play if he's going out ahead of those guys. I don't know what y'all thoughts on it.
Yeah, so Manny Muhammad, just to back up everything you said about Littleton, Manny Muhammad spoke at length about Grayson Littleton and his press availability and was saying how consistent he has been every practice and how consistent he's been off the field preparing, like he's almost preparing like a veteran, right? And that happens, right? The guys just come in and shock you at times.
Yeah.
We got Mr. Gooseby in here. I mean, Trevor Gooseby came out there last year and shocked everybody with how prepared he
Yeah.
was and ready to play. So Grayson Littleton, I think it's a good problem. I think he has assured himself, even if he's not out there the first series of the game, he's going to play in the Ohio State game. And he's probably going to start one of those games in September, maybe all of them, right? Like, I do think they're kind of preparing in two different ways. So I think they're going to have what they have specifically for Ohio State and that group and what they want
Yes.
to roll with. And then, obviously the install for the season, September, where they can actually figure stuff out on the field. But before I pass to Chris, one thing we got to remember, and this is something I also want to see how we navigate this during this season. With Dwayne Aquina now in there, are we still going to do the hockey shift substitutions that we have become used to with all of the DBs throughout games that we were doing with Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon? And even going back to Gary Patterson, we were rotating a lot of guys in game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we would have Derek Williams and somebody else come in, and then Jelani McDonald and Taff, and then Taff and Makuba. Like, we were mixing a lot of guys. Now, later in the season, especially after Derek Williams went down, I felt like the safeties were a little bit more established, but we still played Kobe Black a lot. Even the corners were rotating. So I am curious to see, do they maintain the hockey shift mentality to get everybody snaps, and it's just your guys that are starters, quote unquote, play the most snaps? I am curious to see how they navigate that. But Chris, what say you on this?
I had to unmute myself. All right. Man, honestly, with me, the thing that I'm looking at the most is that running back room. Um, I mean, it's last year, we had two guys go down, Baxter and Christian Clark. Christian Clark's back. Uh, that's the quickest Achilles injury, Achilles recovery I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's just like you get when you hear about an Achilles tear and stuff like that, you get shades of Jonathan Gray in 2000, what was it, 15 or whatever, coming back like that and coming back too soon and him just dragging his leg. It seems like on DKR on the weekends, man. But apparently, man, Christian Clark is. I mean, it was a quick, easy tear. I mean, he had a good surgery. He's back to doing what he's doing. In 2023, before Baxter, went down, whenever it was him and Jaden Blue towards the end of the year, I mean, Sark made his money with that two back personnel. And, once Baxter got hurt last year, Jarrett Gibson, we thought that he was going to be especially after the Michigan game, he was going to be like that next guy. And I just want to see what it looks like, how the 30 carries, 35 carries per game are going to be split, what you're going to be able to run. I thought last year when Jared Gibson was in the game, I felt like you kind of knew what was going on. It was kind of like the defense kind of had an idea because, he really can't pass protect all that well. I want to see how much two back we're able to run. I think you had said this the other day, Steve. I think Christian Clark is going to eat with the start screen. I think that's the perfect back for that. Like he's not Bijan Robinson, but he's the closest thing to Bijan Robinson. And what I want to say lastly on this running back room is that I haven't talked about this guy in the running back room yet for a reason. Trey Wisner needs to get his respect, guys. That guy is the leading rusher returning in the SEC. The thing I like about Sark the most is that, like in the SEC room, the SEC, meeting he had, in the press conference, he's pretty much telling you, this guy's our returning starter. This guy is our guy. He's the SEC returning running back. Until someone, beats him out, he's that guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
he hadn't put on weight, but they say he looks a lot more muscular. I think he is. I think he's out. Who thought that this guy could have a chance to be a 3-and-out player when he came in, when he was running down on special teams in 2023? But I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm also looking forward to seeing when we can get Cedric Baxter back. with that injury being the way it is, no one said anything. I mean, it's a severe injury. But I mean, it's just like, when are we, once we able to get that guy back, and I wouldn't rush him back because, me and
When
Michelle,
you say back, what do you mean, Chris? Because he is practicing, but like,
he's
I mean,
practicing, but like, I don't want to see him until he's 100% ready. Like, if it's later on in the season, like conference, like maybe Arkansas, maybe November, maybe even playoffs. We've got to we've got to care about the player. Like, we can't just, we have enough running backs on campus. I mean, there's no need to rush that guy back. But he's proven whenever he's here, he can do it all. And I would love to see a two-back personnel with him and Weisner, or him and Clark. I think that would be killer.
I think there's people that think he's going to play in the Ohio State game and take carries.
Wow.
Like, now what that looks like, or is it necessary? I completely agree with you. It's a very necessary conversation to have, because I'm still scarred from Jonathan Brooks,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
it just, if it's not necessary, it's not necessary, especially if you have everything popping off in the room the way it is. But Vandalisa, I want to thank you for the super chat. What's up, Vashawn and Chris, Steven? Donations. Injury-free camp wishes were destroyed rather early. Yes, get well soon, Andre Kojo. Please, football gods, have mercy. At least some of the other guys that are coming back are, we know Wingo and Campbell had dehydration issues. Wingo's
Yes,
were a little bit
yes.
more severe. And, I'm a little concerned about that, because that could play into the hamstring at some point. But he did practice today, which is a positive. Um, yeah, the running back room is exciting, and I think people are more excited, Chris. I just worry about the Baxter thing. I don't know where you fall on that, Bashan.
With CJ, um, you know me, I'm well, I agree with Chris. We got a lot of running backs that are healthy right now with Wood at. Nah, I don't live. But anyway, Christian Clark, man, right now he's running second team. Man, the kid has natural running ability. They showed a video the other day. He caught a screen pass, and he's cutting. But I heard he fumbled. He got a Christian Clark fumbling. Think I read that today. He had a couple fumbles in the last practice, or the two. Maybe that was Saturday. So he definitely, they're not, they won't mess with you if well, somebody else fumbled last year too. But the point is, he need to hold on to the ball. But yeah, I did hear that they're going to run with Baxter for Ohio State. Um, Maybe he's going to use him down in lower practice. And look, all of us are Longhorn fans. We know about Jonathan Gray, bro. We know about. I mean, I can go down the line of people that tore up knees and Texas put them back on the field the next year, and they was hurt again. What's the guy? What's the Arizona State? Steve,
Troy
the
O'Meara.
receiver, Troy O'Meara.
Jonathan Brooks
Um,
got put on the field too quick by the Carolina
yeah,
Panthers, man. And look,
yeah,
what happened
yeah.
again.
Yeah, so we that's these things are always in the back of fans' minds. We just really want to see guys healthy, man. That's all. We
Yep.
want to just really want to, what's best for the kid. And we know if y'all seen that letter that Baxter wrote when he was hurt, you see the inside of his mind, and he revealed himself and how he's a competitor and how he loves the University of Texas. So we know he wants to get back out there. But I would just say, let's I mean, I'm not the team doctor or anything, but I just hope they're cautious and I hope he's ready to really, really go because knees are tricky, And if we can just use Wisner, Clark, and Baby Rhino, I'm good with
Mhm.
that too. And look, we got two freshmen coming up.
Yep.
I saw somebody earlier said, and that's a good point. He was like, "Man, I'm not so sure that Clark tore up his Achilles. Maybe he just got hurt real bad. I mean, as fast as he came back, he came back in Kobe Bean Bryant type of time with Achilles. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But Because I thought Achilles was longer than the knees, but
Mm-hmm.
hey man, they got a lot of medicines today that when we played in the ancient days, they didn't have. So, you know, but I think I'm glad we got depth, and I'm gonna segue Steve into the other injury because I agree with the poster earlier. Man, every day I'm praying for a injury-free day. That's all we can hope for. Man, please don't let nobody get hurt. Well, first scrimmage, we always has it been like that the last 3 years? Seems
Yeah.
like the first padded practice, somebody goes down, we lose Cujo. But you know, we're when you're a healthy team, when you're a championship team, meaning you're deep at all positions. Now, I'm not saying we can afford to lose anybody, but as of right now, we're okay. Hey, man, Jay Chapman, they got him starting over there. Look like he's going to. And let me tell y'all, this Nick Brooks guy, this true freshman, it's a lot of people saying he's going to be the next first rounder. Now, after Gooseby, what's up, Mr. Michael Gooseby? Because I believe I've been on Gooseby train a long time. But
Yep.
Nick Brooks is a beast from what I've been hearing and reading. And that's why it was good to have 15 linemen on campus team. Because now you got options after options. Now, look, the third team tackle is the Coleman twins. One of them Coleman twins. I don't know which one it is. One of them's a tackle. But when something happens, the next man up. I think Ohio State last year, Steve, didn't they lose 2 offensive linemen on their
Yep.
run to the championship?
They
Yep.
ended up
Guys,
playing a guard at left tackle the rest of the way.
they were playing a guard at left
Donovan
tackle.
Jackson.
Yeah. So, guys, teams are filled with runs of championships. Somebody going down in the season, somebody stepping up. Matter of fact, Trey Wiseman. Nobody was thinking about Trey Wiseman leading us in rushing last year until we lost both our running backs. And then boom, here come Trey Wiseman. So, Steve, I'm very curious who is going to be the next guy this year? Who's going to shock us this year? I don't know, man. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I just want to say this before Chris goes. I want to hear Chris's answer.
Okay.
Joe Cook wrote about this, I think either today or yesterday, but you have to hit, you have to practice. You can't put everybody in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're going to have a very, very crappy start to the season. The physicality won't be there, and then your season's shot anyway. You have to, and this goes whether high school, Pop Warner, college, NFL. Like you can tell what type of season you're going to have, even sometimes from your fall camp. Like I
Yeah.
remember when my high school, the year we actually made the playoffs and were good and went 8-2 or whatever. That fall camp, it was execution, execution, execution. It was different from the other years where we were problematic. It carries over, but you're going to lose people. We lost
You're going to lose
people.
people. Yeah.
You always do. We lost our starting running back that year. 2 games in, we lost
Yeah.
another guy in camp that was a
Yeah.
starter. Like it happens. You have to be prepared for this. The Los Angeles Chargers today lost Rashawn Slater, one of the best tackles in the world.
Wow.
He just
He
signed
went
that deal.
down. He went down today.
Mm.
So this stuff happens. This is today. You're going to see preseason games tonight, right? The
Mm.
Bengals and whoever, and the Colts are playing right now, Colts Ravens or whatever. Like you're going to see people go down. It happens. So how do you prepare for that? But you can't avoid hitting. You can't avoid not
Yeah.
being physical. That's
Yeah.
not the answer.
Yeah.
So you just have to, that's why I keep saying luck is such a big part of this. Just luck with your health, luck that you don't have somebody's twisted ankle. Some of these guys went down, like go down, it's non-contact sometimes. It just happens.
Mm.
Anyway, to Vashawn, but Chris, if you want to answer Vashawn's question first in terms of unsung guys that really could step up and play a role, there's another, if there's another Trey Wisner on this team, and it may not be running back, it could be a different position.
Mm-hmm.
I think my guy I'm looking forward to seeing is Parker Livingston. We were trying to do, all off season, we were trying to do like, who's this guy remind us of? Who's this guy remind us of? And honestly, I was watching a baseball game, like an old school baseball game on YouTube, and I saw a guy come out to pitch, and I was like, that's Parker Livingston. It was Jeff Samardzija, former Notre Dame wide receiver slash Cubs reliever. I mean, the kid's 6'4", 6'3", 210, 215, really good route runner. He's a margin hooks guy, so
Yeah.
he knows how to run a route. And most importantly, man, he's Arch Manning's roommate. You know, um, we're talking about red zone, guys. And I'm not a guy that likes to necessarily go out and start throwing fades in the red zone. But and I'm not taking anything against Ryan Wingo, but I think one thing me and Rashawn and you have talked about in the past is Ryan Wingo's route running was somewhat suspect. I remember if you look at what the second down or third down play in that Ohio State game, that it actually I think it got called. We got a penalty on that, but I mean it was another route where we're in the red zone and Wingo ends up on the ground somehow, and that can't happen, man. I think Parker Livingstone being such a good route runner could help us really, not like I said, not just the jump ball. We're talking about the fade stop. I mean, any route that guy wants to route, his route tree is supposedly good. I think that's going to help us a lot. And I think having a little more, you know, accurate quarterback in the red zone, maybe. I mean, I'm not crapping on Quinn, but it's not about Quinn anymore, man. It's Arch's time. Like I'm really looking forward to see how we are in the red zone. That's the biggest question for me with Sark is the red zone offense.
Tanner, thank you for this generous super chat. It is, it
Yeah.
is, it is. You're very excited. I appreciate it, brother. Good to see you. Hopefully, I get to see you this year at one of the games.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Tanner. I really, really appreciate it. Hope all is well with you and your family. Um, Man, this is how I know we back up on the season. It's I appreciate it. Parker Livingstone, the thing with him that I think is exciting too is just this the speed size combo. Like
Yeah.
you have somebody that can really run. I honestly think when you talk about margin hooks, Chris, I honestly think that Parker Livingstone's going to give you what you thought you were going to get from Isaiah Nayer 3 years
Mm,
ago.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very
When you think about their size and you think about who they're trained by, kind of how they've been developed, like that's kind of how I see. I mean, how he was used at Lovejoy. Quite
mhm,
frankly, I mean, you think about McCutcheon really ate on the inside and was the dynamic East West guy, and then Livingstone was either catching a bubble or going deep, right? And so
yeah.
I look at what they wanted to get from Isaiah Nayer when they got him from Wyoming. Like
Mm.
that's what Parker Livingstone can give you. Plus, you said the connection with Arch. I mean, that's going to be huge, right? And I'm curious to see how he looks like early in the season. That's going to be huge for Chris Jackson and the
Mhm,
narrative around developing people in the room and all this type of stuff. But I am excited, just like Grayson Littleton, when they talk about consistency. I like the fact that when you listen to the practice reports or whatever, his name was consistent in the spring, and now it's consistent in the fall. That's what
yep.
you're looking for. So no, that's a that's a really good one there, Chris, for sure. Um,
Um,
but Sean, I know you asked the question, so I'll answer as well.
okay.
Um, I just I'm sorry, I don't see a world where we go the whole season. I'm gonna say two people. At some point, Justice Terry and Jonah Williams are going to be a significant part of this defense. And maybe later down the line, it may become. I just think their talent as young guys, like it was impossible to keep Colin Simmons off the field, and we had, you know, a returning starter and Baron Sorrell in front of him. You had Ethan Burke. You have all these Trey Moore coming in. Eventually, Colin Simmons' talent and ability and all that was just too much to keep off the field. Anthony Hill came in, right, playing next to Jalen Ford. And eventually it was just too much. We had to find a way to get him on the field with Jalen Ford. And eventually he took that over. I see the same type of intensity. I know Jonah wasn't here in the spring. He was playing baseball. I know Justice Terry. The thing with Justice Terry and even Michael Terry, those guys, they were there for practice in the playoffs. I think that matters as well. I could see Justice Terry playing like a Vernon Broughton hybrid role where he's lining up at 3 tech sometimes, and then other times he's lining up outside, like what we did with Vernon Broughton and sometimes Alfred Collins. I could see that, right? And it could be in doses. I'm not saying they're going to be huge contributors, but they will show up at some point. I don't see them not being a factor their entire freshman year. To answer Rashawn's question.
So you brought up a good point, both of y'all. And yes, somebody said Livingstone is Archer's teammate. He is, and I think that's big because some of the film we saw, Simp, and to me, what's the most underrated aspect of wide receiver route running is being in the spot that the quarterback's going to throw to.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw Archer release that ball, Livingstone was always perfectly in position. I mean, right before he got in the corner of the end zone, and that's all you can ask for. Nothing worse than a receiver who's supposed to run a 10-yard out, he runs an 8-yard route or a 9-yard
Mm-hmm.
route. And, the quarterback's expecting a guy to be on a 10-yarder or a 10-yard dig or something like that, and he's running the wrong route. What
Yep.
you saw was Livingstone and Arch working out all the time. But my guy that's going to be my trick, I guess we can call it the Trey Wisener moment, who's going to surprise people this year to me. And he may not really be a surprise. Let me go the long way around my answer. So, Steve, last year, Simp, when I looked at the Final Four, when I looked at Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, and Notre Dame, all four of them had great tight end play. To me, tight ends are mismatches.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Penn State had the best tight end in the country. So
Yeah.
that dude was a dog. Michigan can argue. They had one.
Well,
Uh,
they won the year before with Loveland, so
Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it applies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So, guys, Jack Idris, man, I'm finna get on the internet and buy me some stock right now. I'm buying stock in Jack Idris.
Yeah.
Steve, I went and looked at his film. And we in the film. I went and looked at him. The most impressive stat about Jack Idris that I heard about him, regardless of competition, whatever he played, he had one drop, gentlemen, all in a year. That's Devin Duvernay type hands.
Yeah, it is.
Y'all know how Devin Duvernay was when it hit his mitts, it did not move.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Idris, matter of fact, I played with him on NCAA 26. They got him souped up on there too. He catches everything. I saw somebody write an article about him. I'm like, yeah, they got Jack Idris souped up. Dude is going to be. I'm not saying he's going to be a red zone weapon for Arch, but he could be. But I'm telling you now, but he's going to be that third down guy. He's going to help. He's going to help those outside guys. He's going to open it up for Wingo. He's going to
Yeah.
open up for Derek. He's going to open up for Livingstone and also Mosley. Mosley is another one with great hands. And
Yeah.
I watched him. But man, Jack Idris catches the ball. And to me, man, that's all we can. That's all we can ask. Get open and catch the ball. Now, to answer the red zone pitch situation, I don't want to run over my thing, but my thoughts has always been this, Steve. You just have to be a more physical offensive line, regardless of who's running back, regardless of whatever you're doing back to, because toward the end of the year, everybody that's seen all your plays. I mean, you got 14, you probably got 14, 15 games of red zone plays that you ran. Teams know what you're going to run. Sooner or later, you're going to have to be able to just power that bad boy in and get it in there. And to me, that'll be the answer. But I don't want to jump ahead. But Jack Idris, is my guy I think is going to have his Trey Wiseman moment this year.
No, I mean let's talk red zone. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Sark did not shy away from this. I've said it multiple times on this channel. SEC Media Days was the first question he was asked after he gave his, his speech on Texas football. The first question he was asked was about our red zone, and the first thing he said was, "It's the main reason why we were eliminated." Right? I mean, we had the ball 2 years in a row in the playoffs inside the 10-yard line and did not score a touchdown. And you're 111th. I've said it all the time. 111th in red zone offense last year in scoring.
Yeah.
So to your point, Vashawn, it's not. It's play calling matters. Yeah, personnel matters. But at the end of the day, if you have that physicality to push, right, there's no nuance there. Like
Yeah.
the better you are inside the. We're talking
Yeah.
about inside the 2-yard line, right? There's a
Exactly. Yeah.
reason the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, right? They had a whole
Yeah. Exactly.
vote. They had a
Yeah.
whole vote to get rid of tush push because it's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable.
It's unstoppable, right? And so you got teams either voting to get rid of it or people trying to copycat it, right? Because
Mhm.
there's it's coming. That's the point. It's coming. There's nothing you can do, at all, right? The more you got to run in the red zone to score, the easier it is eventually. Guys are going to make a mistake. It's such a condensed space for things
Yes.
to happen, right? And also being physical without getting penalized down there too. All of these things matter, right? I'm not saying we need to go down there and start throwing fades, but just
Yeah.
the ability, if you have guys that can do it, the more you can do, the better we are. But I'd like to be a team that is able to play power football inside the 5-yard line going in.
Yeah.
100%.
Hey, do you think not just injuries? I like that tight end room in general. Um, I mean,
They are
you
good.
have a chance. You can line up in 13 personnel in the red zone, like we see a lot of teams do. I mean, you finally have the tight end room where you can do it. What do you guys think in a situation? And this is for everybody. The chat, you guys, everybody. When we go to a 12 personnel, which is one running back and two tight ends, who's that second tight end in with Andrews? Shannon's probably your best blocker. I almost called him Jeremy Washington, but John. Jordan Washington is up to 260 pounds, and then I
Yeah.
like what we're hearing from Nick Townsend and Emery Winston. I like the way Oklahoma State used that cowboy back, that H-back type of player, and I'm glad we have that assistant on our team. But what do you guys think of, if we're going to get physical, let's line up in some 13 personnel, not just 12 personnel,
It's interesting you bring that up. I was on, by the way, shout out to Horns Takes podcast. I was on with him yesterday, and we talked about this exact thing. And one of the things I told Sean over there was, if Jordan Washington can block, like really, really block, you become more versatile if he's able to be that second tight end in
I said that
12.
the other day with Sean.
If
Yep.
he can do it, now you're not giving away that you're running the ball, right? Like it's
Yeah.
obvious, Malik Agbo, for example. 2 years ago we were running that heavy because we didn't have, we really couldn't trust Gunnar Helm to be the other side of that
Mm-hmm.
with JT Sanders. And then
Yeah.
once Sanders left, we couldn't trust Amari Nyblack to
Yeah.
be opposite of Gunnar Helm. Now,
Yeah.
eventually, Juan Davis took that over, and we were able to trust him. And to Chris's point, Juan Davis was also able to do the H-back stuff,
Yeah.
right? And be a lead blocker. Guys, we've been doing the rewatch. How many times have we pointed out Juan
Mm-hmm.
Davis is pulling with Hayden Connor, and they're
Yeah.
the lead blockers, right? Like, it's obvious. If
Mhm.
Jordan Washington can do that, which I don't know,
Yeah.
but if he can, that really changes how dynamic you can be. Because now I can flex either one. Like,
Yes.
the
Yes.
same way we were flexing Gunnar Helm all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I really, really toy with the defense.
Yep.
But if it's Spencer Shannon, no disrespect, but if he's the best blocker, he's the best blocker. But it also makes you less dynamic, because if he's in the game, you're not going to flex Spencer Shannon the same way you would guys that are real pass catchers, right? So just something to think about. That's where I look at it.
Man, uh, like Steve say, the question mark gonna be, can Andrews and Jordan Washington block? We know they can both receive. We know they're pass catching tight ends.
Mhm.
Can they block like that? If they can, let me tell you guys, the mismatch that is going to cause is going to be ridiculous. Because now when you go to 12 personnel, you basically got 7 offensive linemen up on and the ability for both of them to go out and catch passes. So you
Yep.
can do whatever you want to. So if you put, let's say Georgia, we play a team like Georgia, who's beat us up in the trenches last year. You go heavy, you go 12 personnel, you got 7 blockers up there. Georgia says, Kirby says, I'm going to defend this with a light box. I'm only going to pay 3 down linemen because they run that 3-3 tight. I'm only going to play 3 down linemen and 6 linebackers. I'm sorry, 3-3-3-5. I'm going to go 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 DBs. I'm going to defend this. Well, now you got 7 blockers going against their 6. And that's not counting for Arch. Arch is your 8th guy. He's free.
Your extra man. Yep.
You got you out blocking them. You got more linemen than them, and you got Arch and the running back there too. Now,
Yep.
this is where they might be okay. Well, they got 5 DBs out there, 2 wide receivers. But yes, if you got pass catching tight ends, like we know Jordan Washington and Andrews can do, your linebackers got to be able to hold Jack Andrews. Your linebackers got to be able to hold Jordan Washington. Your linebackers got to be able to hold Trey Wazner going out in the flat.
Mhm.
So to me, the whole key is like Steve said and you said, Sim, man, if Jordan Washington and Andrews can block like we think they can, it's going to open up some things. And then that's a great idea with that third tight end because if you go 13 personnel, when I first saw Spencer Shannon, Steve, when I first looked at him, I said, man, he's going to be an offensive tackle when we get. He was
We
six
all
seven,
said
like
that.
250, 260 in high
Yeah.
school. I said, man, this dude going
Yeah.
to be an offensive tackle.
Yep.
But he's still at tight end. So just think about it, guys. If Spencer Shannon is that big time blocking tight end, you put him down there on the goal line with your other 2 tight ends. Boy, you can do some things. You can get Arch out. Now we know we got a more athletic quarterback. You can get Arch out in bootleg. You can slow release one of those tight ends. You can either bowl teams over, push them over. It just gives you, like Steve said, a lot of options. And I really believe those 2 tight ends are gonna just open it up for the outside guys. It's gonna open it up for Wingo. Now you don't want to go 12 personnel the whole game because you want to get you don't want to go 11 personnel, get 3 wide receivers out there.
Mhm.
But when we play teams that says we're gonna try to stop the run with a light box, and then you go
Yeah,
12 personnel and you just
yeah.
run they butt over. Especially those 3-3 teams, 3-3 stack teams. You
Mhm.
gotta try to run them over because it's just gonna be too hard to pass against them because the defense is so versatile. What y'all
It's
thought?
funny. It's funny.
Yeah.
JB brings up Darnell Washington, and no, Jordan Washington is not as. I know what you mean, but Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington was a freaking house, man. Like, but
Yeah.
here's the thing. But JB, you brought us into a point because Georgia's 12 personnel with Darnell Washington and Brock Bowers was a cheat code. Think about that. One of them was a third round pick. The other one was a first round pick.
Yep.
And
Yep.
when they were together, Darnell Washington, yeah, was a primary blocker, but like they ran a lot of 12 and it enabled them to do a lot of cool stuff with Brock Bowers.
Yep.
So, I mean, go look at the TCU game when they played in the national that's how you destroy people that want to play that defense that
Yeah.
Vashawn was
Yeah.
just talking about. That's
Yeah.
the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
So, if we can have that mentality with these type of guys, and then like Michael Terry is another one who can play multiple positions and
Mhm.
can play
H
some
back.
H back.
Yeah.
H-back, yes.
He can play. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up and give you looks there.
Mhm.
And also, you get a read where it's like, hey, there's a linebacker on Michael Terry. Like he might be a chess piece where we're just using to exploit teams. But the more like the options are actually kind of fun to
Yeah.
look at here, Chris.
Hey,
Yeah.
we got some sick options, man. Nick Towns, we ain't even talked about him. Michael Terry the third, man. This almost like Sark got video game players out there. Hey, give me such and such. Let's put him in the game. Let's go with it. We got an answer for every type of defense, Simp. And I know a lot of people are worried about the offense, but defense is supposed to be ahead of the offense. This is all the time. They see these guys at practice every day. That's what you want. If the offense was ahead of the defense,
I'd
then
be
I
very
would be worried.
concerned. I
I'd
would be
be
Yeah.
worried.
very concerned. Yeah. I played defense, Steve. When I look and look, I played on both. When I seen with a team when we practice, I would look and say, "Oh yeah, they're going to run such and such."
Yeah.
So you knew what was coming. You know what I'm
They're coming
saying?
right at you,
But the
Rashawn.
yeah, but the point is, guys, we man start guys, we are so deep. We've been clamoring for this type of team. We got so many options. I think they got an answer for everything a defense throw at them. And Kirby whooping Sark like that last year. Sark understands what he needs to do and what he needs to, he needs to be ready. And the more versatile you are, the better you are.
I
I'm through.
do
See,
think
go ahead.
I do think it's gonna take time though. I want to
Yeah.
I think we can get there. I don't think that they're going to be all world just humming on all cylinders come August 30th. I don't
Oh,
expect that. I don't
no.
think that's fair to ask. I think what you want to see is you want to see physicality with whoever's
Yeah.
on the field.
Mm,
You want to see that the quarterback is able to manage the game, whatever they are throwing at him, especially knowing that Matt Patricia's now there. We're probably going to get some exotic looks, all that type of stuff, right? I look for us to navigate that and lean on the defense to start the season. But coming once we're in September and we can really start sampling and get people, it takes time to establish chemistry too with the new offensive line as
yeah.
well, right? So not only is
Mhm.
it Archer's first road start, but it's also the offensive line. I want to give them some time to really get together. I think they can go out there and play well versus Ohio State, but I'm not expecting them to go out there and now if they do, then all bets are off. Now you're talking about a 2019 LSU situation. If they go out there and go belt to ass immediately, I'm talking about the offense on August 30th, and I'm wrong, and they're humming. I don't think that's realistic, but you never know, right? But
Yeah.
all I'm saying is, I know the physicality can be there. I know we can clearly see that the red zone offense when we get down there is better. And also, you don't have to press as much because you have better special teams. So it's okay to play field position at times and take care of the football and just don't beat yourself,
Mhm.
right? Like that may be all it takes to win, considering what your
Mhm.
defense should be able to do against another young quarterback.
Yeah.
So just some food for thought there as well.
Simp.
Yep. Man, I remember when back in the day when Harbaugh was in Stanford, and I've never seen a team do this, but he went 14 personnel. Like, I mean, I hate to get weird like this, but that was cool to watch him run, Y banana and all that with those guys, man. Like it's I think someone said on here, man, the fact that we can be so versatile, in any scheme, whether it's offense or defense, to counteract, it just shows why we're so happy that Sark is here, man. Like this is, ooh, man, this is our time, you know.
you know, Steve also brought up a great point. The offense usually, and that's for Ohio State too. And I've been reading some practice reports. Julian Sand is not lighting it up. He's
Mm.
not
He's
lighting it up,
not.
and he's not lighting it up, guys, at Ohio
I
State's
bet we see
practice.
both quarterbacks in that game just
Yeah,
by,
They
yeah,
might they
you know,
might play they might play both of them
they
because
might
they're
play
already
both of them.
saying
Yeah,
Ryan Day already said this is going to go down to the wire.
yeah,
And the fact that Julian Sayan's not grabbing the job,
yeah.
right?
They're trying to give it to him, but he's not grabbing it.
They
yeah,
are.
Exactly.
it's not,
Yeah,
no.
but what happened? This is to me, Steve. why defense is so important. Because I heard when we was getting all those defense recruits, I seen some fans, well, where's the offense? And I kept saying, guys, defense is what wins championships. Now you need offense. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying we don't. When you looked at the Final Four last year, you looked at again Penn State, top 5 defense. Notre Dame, top 5 defense. Ohio State, number 1 defense. Texas, I think we was the number 3 or the number 2 defense. All it was not it wasn't ironic that all 4 teams that made the Final Four had a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
And their Notre Dame and them offenses wasn't lighting it up, Steve, during the season. They was good. This is what Notre Dame did, guys. They can run the ball and they can play defense.
Yep.
Penn State, now they had a great Penn State had a great tight end and all that. They had some speed, but it wasn't like they was sitting up there putting video game numbers up on offense. What they had was heck of a defensive players. And this is what the defense allows you to do. The defense buys the offense time to get ready. And what I mean by that, we play Ohio State first. So where the offense might not be hitting on all cylinders. They might be 75%. But your defense is already hitting on all cylinders. They're going to allow you to win games while your offense catches up. And guess what, guys? Right after Ohio State, we have 3 more non-conference games. And those games, I'm not going to downplay them, but let's just say this, Simp. They not they not know the best competition. So
No. We're
you
getting
got
guys
3
ready.
games. Yeah, you got 3 games to get Arch and all of these offensive guys continue to get better, and then you roll when you roll in the SEC play. You got 4 games under your belt, and then
I've
you're
been
playing
saying,
Florida.
I've
Yeah,
been saying those 3 games,
mm,
everybody on the team should play.
everybody.
Literally, everybody in the team should play those 3 games.
Yeah,
I think that's goal number 1. Goal number 2, well, goal number 1 is what I'm about to say. Goal number 2 is to play everybody. Goal number 1 is going into Florida, especially with that bye. You should now understand what your rotations are at
hmm
receiver, with the defensive line, with the safety. Like it should be by the time we're leaving that third non-con game, we should, even as fans, we should already like know, okay, going to Florida, these are our guys, right? And then the other guys are the true backups. Be ready, but we're gonna lean. This is the group we're going with, right?
yeah,
Um, I do think it's going to look a little different against Ohio State. We're going to lean with experience on the
yeah,
road, unless you're just doing a Grayson Littleton, right? Like we're going to lean experience,
yeah,
which is fine. But it is going to be interesting too, because the Ohio State, somebody said they're playing coy with it, blah blah blah. I remember Notre Dame A&M last year. Notre Dame went to Texas A&M their first game. Remember, Notre Dame had 4 new offensive linemen
Yep.
last year in
yeah.
that game
Sure did, sure did.
with a new quarterback.
Get loosened up. Yep.
Yeah,
And it took them some time to get lathered. But when they got, that's the same group they ended up going there with, right?
Yeah.
So
mhm,
just something to think about as well against a very good, defensive line that Texas A&M had that had NFL guys, right?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting to see how we respond, uh, to that challenge. What say you guys, though? Oh, go ahead, Chris. Yes.
On these next 3 games, speaking of the 3 games that we're talking about after Ohio State, not to look over Ohio State, obviously. I'm looking to see what that backup quarterback situation looks like. I mean, and if you look at it every year that that Sark's been here. I mean, I'm not knock on wood again, guys. We're not everybody knock on wood now, but I mean,
mhm,
we've used a backup quarterback. What happens? Is it going to be Matthew Caldwell? Is it going to be Trey Owens? I remember a lot of people on Unfiltered Longhorn talk were like they were just mesmerized and just shocked, and sometimes some of them angry that we brought Matthew Caldwell in. But I love the fact that you have more than 3 quarterbacks. You have to have 4 scholarship quarterbacks at all times on campus. But most importantly, you got a guy in Matthew Caldwell who has started games. I mean, he started against Iowa. When he was on a bad team, he was 14 to 21 for 160 yards in that game. You put that guy with more talent around him. That's he's got better numbers. He's a good football player. I just wonder just how those guys are going to battle each over those 3 games because, as we know, after the Ohio State game, those 3 games are going to be, pretty much cake, and we're going to get a chance. We're going to see what those backup quarterbacks can do. I honestly think it would be Caldwell, but I mean you never know. I mean Trey Owens could go in and just light things up, but you don't want a guy that's never started a Division I game. If Arch were to go down for whether it's a couple of plays or whether it's for a game or whatever, you want to at least have a little experience in that room. And I'm glad we got Matt Caldwell. What do you
Yeah.
think about that, Deshaun?
About Caldwell the backup.
About just
Well,
the backup quarterback situation in general, especially in those 3 games that we got, those non-con games we got after Ohio State.
I read today Caldwell is the more polished quarterback because he has starting experience.
Exactly.
Trey has the bigger arm, but the issue with Trey is he threw a couple picks too, and Trey Owens, of course. Uh, I think Caldwell steadies you. He's going to be that veteran presence. Kind of like them Super Bowl winning teams where you always got somebody in the locker room, that veteran presence with a
Yeah.
surrounded by superior talent, but he's the veteran guy that know how to work, that know how to watch film, that know how to break down film, and he's gonna be that rock in that room because you couldn't have just Arch being that guy. You needed a guy older than Arch, and I
Yeah.
love how Sark did that. So I mean that's the NFL model. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even when Troy Aikman was, I hate the boy, you Cowboys, I tell you.
Yeah,
But when
I saw
Troy,
that.
but
Bernie Kosar was a
Troy had,
backup.
but then Troy had who he had was it Wade? What's his name? Who he had?
Yeah,
Who y'all
Wade
had?
Wilson at one time, who was a
Yeah,
starter.
yeah,
He had
yeah,
Bernie Kosar. Bernie
yeah.
Kosar
Jason
came on
Garrett.
Yeah,
second half
yep,
of a Rodney
yeah,
Peete was there. I mean, he's
yeah,
had some guys,
yeah. So you that's the NFL model. You put an older guy in a room with a bunch of young talent, and I'm telling you,
Yep.
Sark got that from his NFL experience because he
Yeah.
said, I need an older guy. I love it because he's going to help all of them. Trey Owens, even KJ Lacey, and Arch. All of them guys know. We already know Arch is his X-Man ability is preparation. That's his
Yeah.
X-Man ability. He's a Manny. He's gonna
Yep.
get out there and look at the defense. Omaha. Oh, he gonna know where to go with the ball. But having that veteran presence gonna really help Trey Owens and KJ. So I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's also just a message to the guys in the room to just you got to compete, right? And
There you go. Yes.
you know
Yep.
they
It ain't
Replacing
clearly
handed
starters.
to you. Yep.
they
It's not.
saw something in the spring, right? I
Yep.
mean, it's not a slight to anybody, but it's the reality of the situation. And look, I'm banking on the also you talking about Manning's X-Man ability being preparation. I also think it could be durability, like with what we've seen from Peyton and Eli being all-time consecutive starts quarterbacks. But we've also had to start multiple quarterbacks all 4 years, all first 4 years under Sark.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't even run our quarterbacks like that. And we've
No.
had just bad luck with injuries. So it is a relevant thing to bring up based upon the fact that we've had to start a guy. Malik Murphy had to start, Hudson Card had to start. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like,
Every year.
Yep.
last year Arch had to start, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So you got to be ready to play. Like we got to have
Yeah.
multiple people ready to play. I like the fact that we're now at the point where Arch can dominate the reps. I think that's good for us.
Yeah.
But just having somebody you can trust that can come in on short notice and run the offense stress free and move forward. Because right now, like juxtapose Ohio State, if they're going to play one guy, I think they're at a disadvantage splitting reps all of camp, right? Because eventually
Mm-hmm.
that's less work that your guy really
I get
had
one
than
time.
our guy, right? So, which is why I think they probably will play two people in
Yeah.
the first game. Because Ryan Day, I mean, thinking about their quarterback situation, Chip Kelly and Will Howard were kind of the one off because the year before they had Kyle McCord and
Mm-hmm.
and Hartline was the co-OC, and it didn't flow, didn't fit, right? Which
No.
is why they went and got Will Howard. That's why they went and got Chip Kelly. So I'm also looking for Texas defensively to really, really introduce doubt early on. And make Ohio. My goals to make Ohio State offensively look like they did in 2023,
Yeah.
where it was Marvin Harrison or bust, right? Like that was their offense, even with all the talent that they have. So that's just something to consider. But in terms of our backup quarterback situation, um, I'm not. I'm rooting for Trey Owens and everything with the size, the talent, and all that. Absolutely, but if Matthew Caldwell started games and he's being asked to start a game in the SEC, I think Caldwell would be the one that they call on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
And man, speaking of that Ohio State game, and it's so weird the way college football is now, just with the portal and guys changing, roster changeovers so much. It's interesting to me to see because we saw, the Ohio State that we saw compared to the Ohio State that played against Michigan. Remember, they changed their whole scheme, offensively and defensively. Remember, offensively, where they were running a lot more counter schemes and stuff. I
they
wonder what
switched
they do.
to running counter. They
Yeah, they
they didn't
switched to
run
running
counter
counter.
all
Yeah,
year.
they didn't run counter all year, but all of a sudden they're just running counter. These aren't the same Texas defensive linemen that they saw last year. And honestly, I was at that game. Steve, you were too. I think our defensive line held up, in that game pretty well. But I mean, it's just I just wonder how they're going to attack us. I mean, it's you like you said they've got two new coordinators. Hartline's already been there. It looks like Ryan Day probably has his hands back in the offense again. I know Ohio State fans probably aren't happy with that, and he's not going to give Hartline that much. I mean, I'm sure Hartline has his freedoms, but I just like literally that's going to be something to be able to tell a tape. We're going to be able to, just see if what they're doing on offense. If I were them, I would try the same thing. But I mean, like you say, like how do you pivot to that? Like if that's not working at all, if we're prepared for that, what do you do? I mean, do you go back to inside zone like they were doing with Chip Kelly? I mean, it's
I mean, Chip Kelly's the inside zone king,
yeah,
right? I mean, going back to Oregon, that's
yeah,
the guy that So it's interesting. They went from
yep,
inside zone to counter.
yep.
I do wonder how they attack us. I do wonder what Heartline. If we're gonna listen to the real Ohio State people and insiders, they all keep saying that this is going to be Brian Hartline's offense. That it's not going to be like 2023. 2023 Texas fans, just so you guys understand what they were doing in 2023. Ryan Day was the play caller, and Hartline was like AJ Milwee or
Okay.
or or
Kyle
Kyle
Flood is their
Flood,
OC.
where
Yeah,
he's the OC, but he
yeah.
was
Mm-hmm.
not calling plays.
The plays. Okay.
Now they're saying that Brian Hartline is going to be,
Mm-hmm.
according to them,
Yeah, for them.
is
Yeah.
going to be the one calling everything. So we don't know. I don't know what his tendencies are. If he's going to be pass happy, if he's going to run counter again, if they're going to go back to being inside zone based. I do think there's going to be a period for PK to really kind of play neutral early in that football game and just kind of feel it out like a boxing match. That's what I
Mm.
expect. Especially because here's the thing. Ohio State, you do know they got to be careful with a young guy back there. And what do teams typically do with young guys? They're going to come out, they're going to throw screens, a lot of short passes, a lot of high percentage stuff
Mm-hmm.
to get their guy into rhythm, especially considering the Texas pass rush. I don't think it'd be wise for Ohio State to get in the game against us with Colin Simmons and all these people out here, Anthony Hill, and try to drop back pass. I don't see that to start the football game, right?
Yeah.
So I think PK is going to coach knowing those limitations from their side. That let me download what they're going to try to do. Really, what their plan of attack is going to be. That's why I'm excited. That's another reason why I'm excited about this game because it really is a one-off. Like
Yeah.
I expect Ohio State to look very different in November,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think Texas needs to take advantage of catching them now.
Yeah, we take advantage. Like,
Same.
yeah, exactly.
Same.
Exactly.
Take advantage of
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Get your revenge and take advantage now.
Yep.
What about the flip side of it? Sark versus Matt Patricia.
Hmm.
Call him play. Have you put any thought into this, Chris? Because I know last year, you know, Hancock and they kind of played them at these hybrid positions, right? Caleb Downs,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hancock, Styles, all those guys are still there, right?
Yep.
Including their corners. So I do expect them to be very multiple with their experience. But I'm curious to see how they use Hancock and Downs and all those guys. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think Matt, me personally, man, going to a new scheme and being complex, I think Matt's gonna. Has he ever coached college football?
I've only seen him in the NFL.
I only seen him in the
Yeah.
NFL.
I'll look it up real quick. I've
Yeah.
only seen him. I know he's, yeah, go ahead.
If he tries to get too complex, and we've seen guys do this, coming over from the NFL, going into college ranks, trying to throw too much for these kids,
The Michigan game
that-
last year.
exactly that's a
Yeah.
recipe for disaster, especially early on, because you're going to have a lot of broken assignments, guys not knowing. Because see, they now I'm not saying I don't know if he's going to do this or not, but sometimes they can come over with the mindset. I'm coaching these pro players, bro. You throw a playbook at them, they boom, boom. They
Yeah.
professionals. They going on. They gonna know it. You know what I'm saying? And they just seen everything. They done got 3 years or 4 years of college football. Some had 5. So, but when you come into the college ranks from the NFL and you're trying to install a complex defensive system, sometimes, man, that just don't work, man. And I think Sark can take advantage of that. I'm curious to see what Sark does new, some new wrinkles. He does it every year. We brought over Neil Brown from the West Virginia. Neil Brown is the air raid guy.
Yep.
Knowing Sark loves to steal or borrow, whatever y'all want to call the term. And he said it himself from other coaches. And I'm curious to see what type of wrinkle Neil Brown throws in there. We might see a lot of 10 personnel this year, because that's what they ran in the air
Yeah.
raid. And you merge that with Sark's philosophy. Sark has West Coast philosophy, you know what I'm saying, built in with the power spread. So you take the air raid, you merge it together. Shoot, hey man, we might see some new things this year. But I just wasn't, man, Patricia, he don't scare me in my mind. You know what I'm saying? It's just now if
Well,
he
Sean,
Yeah,
if
I
he
mean,
could,
about
yeah,
a month ago, Coach Dub told us that because I
yeah,
guess Charlie's he's a what is it, Detroit or not Detroit? I'm sorry, he's a Washington, not even a Patriots fan.
yeah, he's
And
a
I guess
Patriot
the one
fan,
thing that made a lot of Patriot fans mad that he's not a guy that blitzes a lot. He doesn't send a lot of pressure, So that'll be interesting to see.
Okay.
You bring it up Neil Brown to me though, and the thing I'm excited about with this year is that if you look at every year that Sark's has been here, he's gotten better. But the biggest spikes, his best, like so if you go from 2022 to 2023, who's the guy that he brought in 2023? It was Paul Christ, and leading up, I mean, yeah, Sark, I mean, there was probably some struggle in the red zone early, but towards the end of that year, of course, that Washington game, we don't like the way that ended. But I mean, Sark was a really good coach in 2023. I think
Yeah,
2024 he was fine, but I think we leaned on the defense a little more last year, and we had an injured quarterback. But I think I'm interested to see. And the thing I like about Sark that he's so transparent, it's almost like you can tell that what the guy's had happen in his life because he
yeah,
he speaks like that. He tells you everything, And the thing that I like about him is that he has that mindset, Vashawn, that me and you always talk about. Man, if you're the smartest guy in the room, if you can't listen to anybody, you're in the wrong room. So I think Neil Brown is going to help him out a whole bunch. I think this year we may see the best of Sark's play calling that we've seen, obviously at Texas, but I mean, this could be even better than what he was when he had Matt Jones.
yeah,
It just also depends on what we can do up front.
yeah. No, the more you can do up front, the better dynamic you
mhm,
are, right? And
Yeah,
yeah. So Matt Patricia, the last time he was a GA at, it looks like at Syracuse in the early 2000s, so 2000, 2001, 2003. And the rest of the time it's Patriots. Detroit Lions when he was the head coach, and then the
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles. Um, so the NFL guys, I mean, college and NFL are starting to become more closely aligned than they were 20 years ago in terms of
Mm-hmm.
scheme and how things are run. I mean, I think the coaches have become interchangeable. You look at the Harbaughs,
Mm-hmm.
the Mike McDonald was at Michigan. Now he's the head coach of Seattle Seahawks. Like, it, they're interchangeable. But Jim Knowles and Chip Kelly were two really good coordinators, in my opinion.
It is. Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a reason why Penn State paid up to go get Jim Knowles from Ohio State. We'll see how that works out. And obviously there's a reason why the Las Vegas Raiders. Speaking of the synergies between college and NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders have paid a lot of money to get Chip Kelly, back on staff with Pete Carroll, right?
Yep.
So we'll see how they, he's got Ashton Genty there now. Speaking of inside zone, for those of you who play fantasy football, it's something to consider, right? So it's interesting how these things travel. But just to wrap up here, because I've had you guys here for over an hour now, and I really appreciate it. Any concerns, right? Like legit, like I'm really, worried about XYZ. Or we, I mean, I've said this, I've been saying this is the best I've felt about a single Texas team coming into a season in 20 years. That's just me. But
Same.
there's always, nobody's perfect, right?
Mhm.
And neither is our coaching staff, neither is the roster. There's always places we can get better, right? So I don't know who wants to take that one first in terms of just concerns, but love to hear from either
You can take it, V.
you or Rashawn.
You want me to see it?
No,
All
you can take it,
right.
V. You go first.
I got man, the only concern I may have is the power running from the offensive line.
Mm.
Will they be able to move? I'm the first thing I look at when I start watching the game is can we get a first down on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1. If I see us doing that consistently, I always look, I say, oh, it's gonna be an easy game. If ironically, our 3 losses last year, Steve, Georgia twice, Ohio State. We could not run the ball on power down situations. We only ran the ball for 40 some yards against Georgia. I think twice in Ohio State. I think maybe it might have been around 70, 80 yards or so. We could not run the ball. So anything that I may be worried about, and I'm not worried about the new starters. I'm more concerned are we still that finesse type offensive line where we're more outside zone and we can't run it inside. Now, going to the what kind of helps me a little bit, my conscience is we're going to a more gap scheme, offensive line. I mean, running game. Basically, you telling the running back what hole to run to. Hey, you're gonna run in this hole. We're gonna open it up over here. So, and I think I'm just thinking because I don't know. Neto might be maybe stronger than Hayden Connor. From what I heard, I don't know. That has yet to be seen, and I'm not saying he is. But I've heard he may be stronger. You got Cole Hudson at center. He's been on campus what 5, 6 years now.
He was the
Cole Hudson,
2022,
2022.
yeah, same
yes,
2022, same as
2022.
yeah,
DJ.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Cole Hudson, 4 year guy, 5 year guy, whatever. He might be a better center than Jake Majors. I don't know. So that gives me a little bit of hope because we got new characters now. We know Gooseby, A1. We ain't got to worry about Gooseby over there. Right tackle, Baker, Chapman, or either Nick Brooks. Don't know too much, but is Baker stronger than Cam Williams? I don't think he is, but that remains to be seen. But is Baker lighter on his feet, quicker than Cam? I think he is.
I hear
Uh,
he's very good technically. That's
technically, yes.
yeah.
And
It sounds
Cam got
like
a
he
lot
has
of
better
holding.
technique.
Yeah, Cam got a lot of holding penalties, man. Cam got a lot of false starts
Mm.
last year. Like Steve was mentioning earlier, got down in the red zone. I mean, shoot, he cost us uh, a strip sack fumble against Ohio State when he didn't get a hand on the guy. You
Mm.
know, but I think that's the only cause for concern, bro, is the power running game. And if we got that, Steve, if we can run that ball on third and short, second and three, it's going to be a long season for teams because that opens up so much of your offense because you can always default to, hey, let's just run it and get the first down.
I do want to say this in regards to Jake Majors. Um, I know there was a lot of frustration about against the really big teams, the really good teams. He did struggle at the point of attack when it was
Yeah,
time to get physical downhill. That was he can't control his size. It was just it is
yeah,
what it is. Um, Also, the snap infractions. He was notorious for just he had a bad habit of just picking up the football unconsciously.
Yeah.
But he was a brainiac at center. He was really
yes.
good with protection calls, and
Yeah.
it reflected in our pass pro. He
Hmm.
was really, really good at that. And he was obviously one of the best centers in all of college football when it came to pulling and getting out on the perimeter, especially getting active in it outside zone. So he will be missed in those regards. But I do think if we are trying to be more of an inside oriented team, it
Hmm.
just may be better fit wise for Cole Hudson's gonna have to be better in those areas, right? Like we need to see
Yes.
the same guy that was mauling at right guard and has a highlight tape of him just pancaking people. We want to see that same type of activity at center. To your point about Neto, I expect Neto to be better movement wise in the run game than Hayden Connor. I do think he can be a little bit more explosive. I don't think he'll be a better pass pro guy
No, no,
than
no, no.
Hayden Connor
That's
because if
why
he
Hayden
was,
Connor
he
was
would have beaten
drafted.
him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Hayden Connor was
Right.
drafted too.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
why Hayden Connor was drafted because
yeah,
he's very good when it comes to pass protection. So
yeah,
we have to keep that in mind. Nate Kibble is a guy, for those who don't know, who's came when he got
Redshirt
here, he was
freshman.
injured, redshirt freshman. That guy's putting pressure at left guard because he's a complete guard. And don't be surprised if Nate Kibble ends up earning the job at some point during the season. I'm not anti Neto or anything, but it's just the reality of the situation,
yeah, yeah,
right? And then obviously Brandon Baker, if he's as good technically as the kids say, then we should be okay
yeah.
at right tackle. So we'll see. Um, my concern is uh, is the corners and just playing with confidence. Um, I definitely think Manny Muhammad's gotten too much heat for. He didn't have a bad season last year. He had an okay to good season last year. I think it reflects in his grades. It reflects in when you watch the film. Now he had moments where he struggled. We are going to play better quarterbacks, I think, this year than we did last year. I mean, let's be honest. Some of these guys we played, Jade Barron and them were feasting off of guys that were a little scared of him.
Yeah,
Um, I'm just wondering who are the guys that I can rely on confidently that match up with my pass rush, that can be ball hawks, that can play aggressively, but also not giving up chunk plays. Guys that aren't getting just burned, because they're asleep at the wheel, and just able to play good technical football at corner. Um, I know we have the people, but I do think it's going to take some time. I don't expect anybody to go out there and be Jade Barron again. I don't.
yeah,
So that's a concern for me. That's part of the reason why I really want Michael Taft to stay at safety full time, because he, as our best communicator, can see the whole field. When you're playing nickel, you cannot see the whole field at nickel. It's harder to communicate. When you're the deep safety, now I can talk to everybody and I can see across the 53. I can't see across the 53 if I'm playing nickel. That matters. So I think if Taff is back there playing safety, I think my corners are going to be a little bit more comfortable because of the comms they're getting. That's again, we got to see it. If Derek Williams is getting, I know he's working on his voice and getting louder. That was a challenge that Jalen Ford had a couple of years ago, and then remember when Jalen Ford started communicating, he became an All American. Sometimes it's just as simple as that light bulb coming on. So that's the concern that lays there for me is just getting good cornerback play that matches up with how we're going to be as a pass rush.
Yep. I should have went first because Vashawn took mine, but mine was the interior offensive line. But I mean, no, you're 100% right. But what I want to add on to what you said is that I want to see how well what push we get, obviously, in those power situations. But I want to see the thing that I'm big on is along with that is quarterback run with that. This is something that Sark's never had. You know, Vashawn, what's that quote that he had with was it with Hudson Card and Casey Thompson? I mean, he was not for those guys running earlier on.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
now that he's seen the way college football's evolved, and
yeah.
when you how that affects teams like Georgia, I wonder because when we were running RPO with Quinn, when we all know what RPO is, you would think it's a run. There's an extra guy up, he would put it in that belly, and then he would hit the slant or hit a guy on the outside. Well, now you got the triple threat with Arch. He can give it to the running back. He can do the pass. He can also just literally just do zone read and take off. My thing is, how many of those times are we lined up running inside zone or some kind of zone play, and where Sark just says, "Hey, give," to Arch? Because Arch is a gamer. And I'm sure Arch has also been told by his granddad and his uncles, "Hey, you ain't running that ball. You ain't gonna be Sam Ellinger Jr." And it ain't gonna happen. I remember me and Vashawn. I was mad at Vashawn last year. Whatever he said,
We don't
hey,
want to see that as a fan base, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we
I
don't.
don't want
No,
to see
no,
that.
no, not at all. I don't want to see that either. But I also want to see him. I don't want us to hold him back either. You know, one of my biggest nightmares I've ever had was before that national championship game that we played in 2009. Because everyone was like, the way that Texas has to run and get the ball movement is they have to use Colt involved in the run game. And I was just
He
thinking, leading
was
up
the
to
run
the game,
game. He was
I was
it.
like, Greg Davis, do not do this too early. Do some other things first, bro. Not second play of the game, dog. You know what I'm saying? I'm just interested, basically, to see how in these games, how many of these times, and we can see as fans watching the game when you see teams that run zone read. Oh man, the quarterback ran that wrong. He should have kept it. He should have gave. Well, we don't know if Arch ran it wrong or not because there's going to be times where Stark's going to say, "Oh no, absolutely not." And then you also against those 3 games after the Ohio State game, he's not going to pull a Jordan Travis in Florida State. I still that kid had to retire from the NFL. He got hurt running zone read in a game against like Northern Alabama or Jones Jacksonville State is what it was. You know what I'm saying? I just you time to change. You're going to need your quarterback, involved in the running game, and most of these offensive, you're going to win. But at the same time, though, I'm just worried about how we police that, how it's going to happen. I mean, obviously, I think those big games like Ohio State, Georgia, you might see him Arch get 7, 10 carries.
I think that's going to be the case. I don't think
Yep.
we're going to have design runs in September. I think there
No.
will be design runs in the Ohio State game. There will be
Yep.
design runs in
Georgia,
certain games,
Florida,
right?
maybe. Yep.
But it's just you just want it good enough to where people respect the look. If people respect the look and that backside defensive end is staying home, just in case like that already opens me up better than I was before to be more productive in the run game. The for Arch and people keeping track of his run stats, the key will be how much he scrambles. That's
Yep.
going to be the key.
Yeah.
And him just getting yards and getting down or him getting yards and getting out of bounds,
Yep.
right? Because we did see Quinn have some big runs just with people playing 2 man under, everybody's backs are turned and he can just go, right? Like
Yeah.
Yep.
I do think that, when you look at the NFL, that's a natural thing now. Even Joe Burrow will get, you're not blocked. I'm taking the 5 yards. I don't need to worry about throwing. I'll reset the chains is more important. Reset the chains. So I do think you'll see a lot where Arch will just take 5 or whatever, and not worry about letting the whole play out and all this. We've seen him do it already decisively,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So I expect that to be the habit moving forward. But as long as they're not going crazy with it and he's not, out here have 15 carries or anything like that, then we should be fine. We should be
Yeah.
fine. Man, I appreciate y'all coming on. Anything else y'all want to add before y'all sign off?
Well, man, I just end with this. Um, the sign you look for certain signs of championship teams. Texas pretty much hitting on all cylinders. And one of the key signs is this. You mentioned Jonah Williams, Justice Terry, Landon Jackson, Cade Phillips, Kobe Black, 5 stars. Phil Smith, 5 stars. None of them are starting.
Hmm.
When you have 5 stars, Jamie French, Michael Terry III, Lockett, all was 5 stars at one time. When you have 5 stars sitting the bench, they're contributing now, don't get it twisted, to your second and third team, that's the sign of a championship team. That's when you really made it. We went from the days of, oh, we need to get this 5 star because we need him on the field right now, to
Mm-hmm.
we can actually sit a Jonah Williams unless he just absolutely forces his way on the field like Colin Simmons did last year. That's how healthy of a team we are. That's how championship level we are.
Agree.
I'm just going to say, guys, that's what you want. That's how Georgia was. That's how Bama was. That's how Michigan was. And that's how Ohio State was last year. We're there. Now let's put it all together. That's all I got, guys.
Agree. Man, if Jonah Williams comes around 2015, he's Malik Jefferson, where we're
Yeah,
running the whole
exactly.
defense is built around
Oh,
him.
put him out there. Play him right now. I don't care. Play him.
Like he didn't even get a chance to like learn where everything was at Texas. It's like, hey, you're the whole defense, buddy. Like it's night and day from 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
I want to address this quick comment before I get to Chris's last point. The difference with John Mateer and Lenora Sellers is yes, they are a part of the run game.
Yeah.
John Mateer is that whole quarterback draw, all that stuff he was doing at Washington State. He is expected to do that at Oklahoma. Don't get it twisted. There's a difference. They're going to carry the ball. Lenore Sellers as well. His uptick, like he didn't even run it as much last year. It's going to go up at South Carolina. So just keep in mind the usage that they see in the run game. I don't think is going to be comparable to Arch, even though Arch is just as athletic and all those type of things. That's going to be the benefit that we're going to be able to have versus those guys. And I do think that it does open. That's why the question is there with John Mateer. Can he have that same type of usage that he had at Washington State in the SEC especially with his size and frame? Is that sustainable? That's going to be the question a lot of people are going to ask, right? Sellers is different because he's about 250.
Yeah.
That's a little different,
He built the
but
run. Yeah.
he's built different. But Chris, go ahead, bro.
Man, personally, like you said, I agree with you. This is the most confident about Texas football that I've been in since the 2005 season. I mean, everything is playing out the right way. I mean, the depth in that 2005 cornerback room, secondary room in general. I mean, there's a guy here that was now on the coaching staff that was that coach in Dwayne Akina. I'm super excited, man. But ultimately, we were talking about, what we're worried about, maybe the offensive line just a little bit. I think those guys are going to be fine because one thing we've said, here on this show before is that the closer you are to the line of scrimmage, the longer it takes for you to develop. We've got guys that have been sitting in this program for 3 years waiting their turn, you know? So, I mean, I'm happy about that, man. The one thing that I'm just really more focused on is I remember if we had won that game against Ohio State, I was just thinking to myself, you don't want to go against a guy that you just beat like that. That's just random. I've never seen a team like you play like a team. This kind of remind me like of the '80s when Miami and Oklahoma would play in a bowl game, late in the year, and then they'd be in the opener the next year. It's rarely that you see that anymore, man. But there's been talk of like, I guess on some of these Ohio State sites that some fans, of course, fans are fanatics, but they were, had a little word to say about Kojo getting hurt. I mean, if you're going to the game, that is be careful, guys. Be careful. I'm not saying don't wear your orange and don't be, a fan, but I mean, I've had some friends that have gone up there, to a Texas Ohio State game, and they were like, man, that's the closest I've ever been to being in a fight. And we were outnumbered by a lot. But basically, I'm so ready for that game, and I just hope this team is hungry. There was a lot of guys that everybody remembers that screenplay at the end of the half. I hope that defense is ready. I think they are, man. I think they're going to be hungry, bro. I would have rather us win that game, beat Notre Dame, and then us be the guy. But everyone still is acting like Texas is. They're a 2 point underdog, which anybody that gambles knows you get 3 points for being the home game, the home team. So basically, that's a pick 'em, or Texas is a 1 point favorite. I just really I'm just looking forward to this. I'm glad that even though we did lose that game, we're pretty much coming in as the underdog swinging with it. So let's go, man. Hook 'em.
Hook 'em, hook 'em. Y'all let us know how you feel in the comments. Appreciate everything. Vashawn, Chris, you guys can find them on Unfiltered Longhorn Talk on Facebook. They've got an awesome community there where they're moderating. Now's the time where the conversations have ramped up throughout the workday. So,
Oh yeah.
Mm.
we stay engaged in the chat. So it's just a lot going on. So appreciate everybody. And remember, horns always up. Hit that like button, subscribe the whole bit. Hook 'em.
Okay.
Hook 'em.